Welcome to With You Podcast.
where we explore relationships and life transitions.
I'm David,
And I'm Tara.
and we are having a guest today.
We love guests.
It's so much more fun. I don't know if you all like the guests, but we love having guests
We love it.
because we get to talk to somebody.
I know. And we get to highlight other people doing cool things.
That's right. I mean, I love talking to you, and you do a lot of cool things, but it's fun to talk to others as well.
Yeah. There's only so much we can say about ourselves.
And hopefully it doesn't get boring. Well, this won't be a boring conversation.
Yeah. So you know this person well.
I know this
I'm
person
getting
very
to
well.
know her. But let me read a little bit about her, and then you can tell how you know her.
That sounds great.
So we've got today Jessica Love. She'll be joining us in just a minute. She is a singer-songwriter, former marriage and family therapist,
Yep.
and a Billboard-charting artist. As the founder of Your Singing Therapist, Jessica brings together her background in therapy and her passion for music to create spaces where people can feel seen, heard, and supported.
Yeah.
Jessica is also the founder of the Love to Life Foundation, a nonprofit that came out of her experience as a mother to a medically fragile child. For Jessica, music isn't just performance.
No, what else is it?
It's a way to bring healing.
Oh.
She's combining a lot of things.
Yeah.
Her next project, Therapy by J Love, is both a music release and a step forward in her work, blending honesty, beauty, and emotional depth and healing. You may have seen her on The Oz Show.
Yeah, Dr. Oz.
The Dr. Oz Show? Oh, yeah. The Dr. Oz
The
Show.
Dr. Oz Show.
Or
maybe
heard her
Oz. She could have been on
Yes.
Oz, maybe.
Or heard her single, I Draw Near, with Todd Delaney, which reached number 19 on the Billboard Christian charts.
Yeah.
But she does a lot of cool things off stage, mentoring artists, writing with others, and creating therapeutic music experiences that help people process and grow.
Yeah. She does amazing, like bringing lots of different things. She's had many different lives, not actual lives. I mean, professional.
That's a whole other
thing. That's a different podcast. But she's had lots of different experiences that she's now bringing all together, which is really, really cool. When you were reading, when you were introducing her, the thing that startled me was your singing therapist. She's not my singing therapist.
That's the name of her business.
Yeah, and I think
Yes.
new album.
Well, and you know her as a student in your program.
Yep, she was a marriage and family therapy student and was kind of moving from the music industry into caring for people, trying to figure out, was she going to do that in the church professionally? She's been graduated for a while, kind of did marriage and family therapy, realized, I want to use my skills differently. And so
blend all that into what she's doing.
Blend it all in. And she's like a businesswoman, but she's also doing this amazing kind of community singing, which, maybe we should go do.
Well, and there'll be lots more information and how to connect with her in the show notes. So if you want to learn more, check out our website and you can learn more about her. We're excited to welcome her and to learn more about this from her, not just from our descriptions of her. So we're honored to have Jessica on our podcast today.
Yeah, welcome, Jessica.
I am evidence that my God is real. I am a miracle. My heart has been healed. Come and witness for yourself. He is revealed. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
All right, we're excited you're here.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning. Can you just kind of start by telling us more about who you are, what you do, and maybe how you know this guy?
Oh, dear. Yeah, you associate with ne'er-do-wells.
No, the most awesome people. So my name is Jessica Love. I met Dr. Van Dyke in our marriage and family therapy program. I'm not sure Dr. Van Dyke met me. He met some version of student trying to get through school. But yes, this program was one of the most life-changing experiences of my life. I think It could have possibly been a crazy, maybe, arguably, uh, stupid, no, at the time. But it was an amazing experience, and I think that sometimes when we make a choice to do something that we're excited about and it turns out to be challenging, I think sometimes we look at it as like, "Why did I do this thing or that was so bad?" But I think it's still an opportunity for God to show you and teach you so many things. And so in the marriage and family therapy program, I from certain professors got tough love, from certain professors got grace, from certain professors got embrace, healing, a mirror, right? And so it was a hard experience that really showed me the different characters of God in person. I know I just
Mm.
went deep really quick, but
Yeah.
um,
Well, I remember you and I sitting on the stairs of BGC. Do you remember, or Billy Graham Center building? And you were not sure you wanted to continue on the journey.
yeah, yeah.
And we had some good heart-to-heart conversations, and look at you now.
Aw.
Like, you're a colleague and you're doing these amazing things, and maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the interesting things versus the marriage and family therapy program.
That was very interesting and life changing. But now I went to the program because I had an organization that was providing free therapy to mothers who have been through what I've been through, which is raising a medically fragile or terminally ill or special needs child, and to families and to fathers and to children who are going through this as well. And I didn't know anything about ethics, so we were just kind of like taking people's information and like passing them off to therapists. And so I had this opportunity to come to Wheaton College, and I was only there to learn to be ethical in the field. I was like, I'm definitely not going to be a therapist after this at all. Um I think I was officially a therapist about a year after the program. Now I have transitioned to more of a coach because I work for a music label. And so we've been able to bridge the gap between music and principles of therapy, but not, you can't do
Hmm.
therapy a label because, we have strict, laws and ethics, but able to take some of that knowledge and a lot of those life lessons and bring that into the space for artists and some people that you know very well that are on the radio. And so it's just a really cool experience to um, bring that space, that love, that presence into the music realm. And yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing now. And then also running a healthcare company and nonprofit that we've expanded from just doing therapy to scholarships for moms, teaching nurses how to build their own businesses and agencies so that there's more pediatric home care nurses in the world. Because
Mm.
Dr. knows very well that most of the time I'm like, Dr. Van Dyke, I didn't have nursing, I didn't sleep, but I'm here. So if I sound a little crazy, it's because I didn't sleep. So just kind of going after those challenges and seeing them as opportunities and really showing people that a diagnosis or a statistic or what people say that a situation has to be doesn't have to be. Your perception does not have to be everyone else's perception. So when something bad happens, it might just be an opportunity. And for me, it's the learning lesson has been it's an opportunity to either receive unconditional love or be challenged to give it. And so that's how all this was birthed. And it's taken everything from the marriage and therapy and bridging it to what I know about music and then throwing it out there to God and saying, I really don't know anything anyway after all of this. And what do you wanna do with it? And so it's been super cool.
Ugh, that's what we find fascinating and why we wanted to talk to you because this you just gave us this big overview, but the combination between your life experience as a parent, your lived experience, and then relational healing in form of therapy and other ways to connect with people, and music and faith, all of that together. So that's a lot to kind of cover in the time we have, but we'd love for you to give just give us a little bit of a story about your son and kind
Mm.
of what that life experience is as his parent, because we want to hear then how this is all coming together, especially with music and relationship and life transition and healing. I
Ooh,
know
oh,
this is
that
so much.
so much. Yeah. So, well, Seth was born at 22 weeks, and it was not a smooth story at all. A lot of tough, difficult things happened, and were surrounded even around how I got pregnant and how he was born. And I went through so many different layers of feelings and emotions. And I think what marriage and family therapy taught me is that it's all welcome. There's space for it all. And all the parts, because you mentioned like the parts of music and mother and therapy, I think they're not separate.
Yeah.
Um, we're whole, you know? And so I think we get so scared, like, am I a singer or am I a therapist or am I a mother? Is being a mother hindering me from being a therapist or a singer? Is being a singer making me a worse mother? And I think um, all these different roles really showed me that we are many parts, even within ourselves. And that's a
Mm,
type of
Right.
therapy called IFS. And really the music portion of it is we have all these different parts, or even in the marriage and family, we have all these different parts of the family, the parts of the family system. Some notes need a little tuning, but I'm not throwing away a note on a piano. I'm not saying, oh, this note is flat or sharp. No, we're just attuning. Um, a family, or and in my life it was about how do these things come in harmony together, that
yeah.
I don't have to throw out a piece of me or a part of me. So I think the unique thing, if I'm honest, I never really thought I was going to be someone who got married. I think there was so much trauma in my life as a kid that I thought, don't get married, don't have kids, that causes too many problems. um
That's how we have a career, right? As a marriage and family therapist.
And so, there was a unique way where I was able to become a mother, but what I really learned from Seth being in hospitals for long periods of time, sometimes years. This last stay he had was from April to February
Hmm.
of this April of last year to February this year. He was in the hospital. Um, and so these times of being in the hospital, I used to see as like, oh my God, why would this kid go through this? Why would this be happening? But I think now it's a space where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to see this as bad or good. I'm not going to assign that to this. But I've been stopped. I can't
Mm,
go anywhere. I can't produce content. I
mm,
can't write a song. But what am I here to do?
Hmm.
Or who am I here to be? And something that Dr. Van Dyke said to me early on in the program, something he said to me, because I was so obsessed with like, is he gonna live or is he gonna die, God? Just tell me. Like, is he gonna live or is he gonna die? And Dr. Van Dyke said something of, maybe just be, maybe just be present, just be curious. It's hard, and even said like, and I feel horrible. This now, how could I say that? Your child is balancing between life and death. Um, but I understand that statement more now than ever, because there's so many things I missed early on trying to change what was going on. Um,
mm,
Instead of just seeing the opportunity, or just sometimes just being
Hmm.
and just being curious. So Seth's illness and challenges with being in and out of life and death have always led me to the things that I needed to do, the next step. So I found out that being faithful to being a mom is not a curse. It's not weighing us down. It's not pulling us. But I feel like sometimes we don't realize purpose is found in the midst of being a mother, and people like, which identity, mother or me? And it's like, whoever that integrated version of mother and me is.
Hmm.
And that's what family therapy taught me, the integration, like, of all the pieces and all the parts. So now I realized when I resisted and I was like, God, just heal, all this stuff. And I missed so many things. But then when I would go into my room and worship, and then I'm sitting at the Ronald McDonald House in my room and worship, and the house manager hears me and she's like, "Oh, you sing? Like, what's going on? Oh, we have this big concert at Allstate Arena. It's a gospel concert. How about I tell the McDonald's people about you? And now you thought you never sing again. You're in the hospital
Mm.
for, years. And now you're at Allstate Arena leading worship for the
Wait, okay,
McDonald's."
so let's back that up. Okay, so you're singing alone in your room in the Ronald McDonald House, which is a place for respite for caregivers of people who are really ill,
For
right?
kids that are
So you're staying
struggling.
there, you're singing to God in your room, and somebody overhears you and invites you to be part of a big tell us about that, because I was curious about how music kind of was part of one of those pieces and how it integrated
Yeah.
into your healing. But this sounds like kind of a turning point.
A few like this, and it does tie back to Seth. So yeah, this particular story, I think Seth might have been like 3, and I was just like in the hospital and feeling guilty about, not being able to lead worship and all these things. And I was not singing praises. I think I was making new songs. I think I was lamenting
Mm.
and God, why? Whatever. But I'm just
Mhm.
on the guitar singing, and the manager, the general manager of the Ronald McDonald House comes to knock on my door, and I think she's about to say, "You're being too loud, be quiet." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And she just was like, "I didn't know you sang, and this is amazing. And how cool would it be to have a parent um in our house a part of this tour?" And I didn't even know what I was getting into. So I, dressed up, went to this thing. I didn't know I was gonna sing. I didn't know what I was gonna do. And then I come on stage and they honor me and they give me a check and they're like, "Speak to the people." And I'm and I just say what's on my heart to say. And then they're like, "Sing a little bit." And I'm singing to a packed out Allstate Arena when I thought I'll never sing again. I'm just gonna live in a hospital and be a mom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's
it's always amazing to me how Seth has been a great instructor for you, for me, for I think our cohort of just not Seth isn't someone that needs a lot of help. He does, but he also teaches us a lot of things like those opportunities that you have. I'm wondering if you could kind of go back a little bit because music has been a part of your life for a long time. And there's a reason why you were comfortable going to Allstate Arena and leading worship is you have a history of singing. So how did you get involved in music? How did that start, and why music in your life? Because I think that was pre Seth, right? Music was a
yeah,
long time
yeah.
ago.
Yeah, music was pre-Seth. What essentially happened was I always loved to sing as a child, but I never thought of myself as a singer in any type of way. And no one really knew that I could sing. And I think the first time that my parents realized I could sing, or the story that they tell me was that like I was an actress and I was acting at this theater, and I would just go do things and they'd be like, "What?" I'd be like, "Here, come to my show." You know, like, "Where did you sign? What?" "I was signed a signature. It's cool, just come." And then they said they came to this show, and um I just they just thought I was some backgrounders and I was the lead, and then I was like singing and they were like, who, who is this?" Um, so that's kind of how I started singing, but I never really developed it from there. I ended up becoming very corporate. I was scared of music. My dad did music. He went pretty far in music, and I was very scared to pursue it or be a part of it, and very insecure and didn't see myself as a singer. And so I ended up um, taking a job as like a marketing director at Wheaton College in like my early 20s. And I had this dream of going to Wheaton College because in undergrad, something happened and I wasn't able to go to Wheaton College. I can't even remember what happened, but I really wanted to go and it didn't work out. And so I said, okay, now I'm going to work at Wheaton College, and then I'll be able to go to school for a discount. It's going to be great. And while I'm at Wheaton College, I'm going to this church, and it's my mom's church, and I felt like God was saying, like, maybe sing. But I thought, oh, people are gonna laugh at me. Like, nobody, I'm a corporate person. Nobody knows me as a singer. So I go to this church, and I was in the choir for a really long time, and I thought I had this word that I would sing, and I was in the back of the choir singing tenor, with the old church mothers. I can get a solo to save my life. And if I'm honest, in my humanity, I was very angry. I'm like, God, why do you have me singing at this church? Can't get a solo to save my life. You told me I was going to sing. And I end up starting to date this guy who's like the guitar player at the church. And for some reason, God keeps telling me, just keep going back and keep singing tenor. I'm like, all right. So this guy introduces me to his high school best friend, who happens to be some famous gospel producer. And I don't know what I'm doing. I just go into this studio and kind of come up with a song. And this other famous guy that works with this producer hears it and is like, I love this. Who's that? Oh, I think I'm going to sing on it. So he sings on it, and we release it, and it becomes this guy's first top 20 single, and my first ever single, and my first top 20 and only top 20 single. And I have to go to my boss, Fred Gizzo at Wheaton College, and say, hey, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on, but like, I'm an artist or something now.
Yeah.
I'm a work. And I was a little sad because that dream of going to Wheaton College seemed to be done and not happening. But that's how I became a worship leader.
Yeah. And what was the song?
It's a song called I Draw Near. And yeah, I was really young. That was 2015. And I got pregnant in 2016. So I was just at the height of what was the start of this successful career, when it seemed like I was never going to sing again.
Yeah.
In 2016, when Seth was born.
So you've had these starts and accelerations and then detours and then kind of new paths and then detours. And it's kind of come together now in interesting ways. But this songwriter, so Tara and I watched this TV show called Songland. Have you heard of Songland?
Oh, I
So
haven't.
it's like three producers, and people come in with songs, and they present their songs, and then you see it produced over the course of the show, and then one of
Oh,
them
wow.
gets a contract. And it's just fascinating. And you're a songwriter, so I'm really curious. I get excited about the process. You know that I get excited about process. Kind of what makes a good song? Like, what's your process around songwriting? Because that's something you're doing now again, right? In terms of writing songs connected to mental health.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's a good question. So I might be a little different than the completely systemic approach to writing songs, because there's rules and there's theories.
I don't see you
Um,
as a rule person, though.
yeah,
Having taught you, I don't see you as a rule person.
yeah. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think so. That's my thing. So I think my song "I Draw Near" really captured that. We didn't go in the studio to write a song. We just kind of started playing, and we opened up the word, and this thing flowed, and it broke every songwriting rule. And nobody thought it was going to go anywhere, or that anybody was going to want it. I sent it out to so many labels, and they were like, you're this black girl singing white music with a kind of black, kind of white voice. This doesn't fit. We either need a gospel artist or a rock artist.
Hmm.
This, this is not
Mm.
going to go anywhere. This is not going to do, that's all the labels were saying. And then I said, well, let's just put it on the radio. And then people responded. And so I think my answer to that would be perfect songwriting for me is authenticity. And unapologetically being true to who you are in the moment, even if hard lessons come from that. And that's just me. That's not everyone's story, journey, or how they need to move about. But I think for me, um, true songwriting comes in the honesty. And it comes with being okay with being who I am in the moment, even if hard lessons need to come, even if adjustment needs to come.
Mm.
And so when I write songs, it's more of just being open, being still, and whatever comes, it kind of comes.
Mhm.
And we use it and we get data from it. So even if it flops or if it does great, it's not a fail. We're being true in the moment. And then that truth is bringing me data to maybe do things differently next time, or reshape in that way. But yeah, I think even when I work with artists, we get so caught up in what's trending, what's selling, um, and you can do that and you can be successful by doing that. But I think people respond to authenticity
Yeah.
more than perfection.
Oh, that's great right there. How does that connect with how you do relationship?
Um, it reminds me of the kind of modality of therapy that I used when I worked in practice, which is emotionally focused therapy, um, which is seeing every symptom as maybe just pointing to some type of truth or a cry out for some sort of connection. And so I think it blends perfectly with that idea of we're gonna throw truth out there. We're gonna be vulnerable, and then we're going to attune that for harmony.
Mhm.
So it directly correlates with the idea that we're not looking for perfect people and we're not looking for perfect relationships, but we're looking to settle in a truth that desires harmony and not
Mhm.
doesn't desire to be right. And that's what
Yeah.
like something wrong I learned. I used to want to be right about so much. I used to want to be right about and it wasn't about finding truth or learning anything.
Yeah.
It
Right.
was about protecting my ego and
Mhm.
hoping that I'm right and finding a manipulative way to um and that's in music, I would call that auto-tune. We put auto-tune in our voices sometimes. And instead
Mm.
of really trying to get the note right and using our senses to harmonize and to attune, I want to cover it up with auto-tune and never get the peace and the feeling and the stillness of truly finding that tune within my body. So it
Mhm.
it just to me it overlaps in so many ways because it's not perfection, it's not throwing out what isn't good enough. But it's being aware, it's being opening, it's listening, it's pace, it's rhythm. Um and they're this to me, it's how do you want to heal? There's so many different ways. You can heal with the sermon, you can heal with the music that surpasses the limbic system and can reach the nervous system without words, or you can heal in EFT therapy, emotionally focused therapy. You can heal some would say no, but you could heal in CBT if you wanna. Um It's all welcome. God is using all of these different ways and they to me, I think at the end of the day, they all do the same thing, just at different speeds and in different ways.
Mhm.
So is that the process that you did? I think you and Craig just did Wake Up and for Tiny concert
Tiny desk. Yeah,
a Tiny
yes.
Desk. This is as hip as I get, man.
I
Uh,
love it.
I can do research on the internet. That's about it. But in terms of writing, like you just sat down and wrote that together, right? You guys were vibing in terms of Wake Up.
Yes, he had discovered this opportunity to submit this to Tiny Desk, and it was the day before that this was gonna happen. And so we said, well, something comes great if something doesn't. And we just got together and in a day's time, he started playing and then the words came and yeah, we had this song Wake Up that is just about it's a little edgy, but I think the heart behind the song is thinking about how powerful we are when we see each other. And I think it that correlates into therapy as well.
Mhm.
Looking for who's wrong, looking for who did something wrong. Um, instead of looking for the areas that we can connect. And um, I don't know if I should talk about this so soon, but there's a project that I'm working on with the city of Chicago right now for a literal bias welcoming place,
Mm.
and a place for you to say, I feel these things. I think these things about people. I don't understand white folk. I don't understand black folk. I don't like Asian, but like whatever it is that is your truth, a safe space to say, this is what I'm going through. And then um questions that in journals that help people flesh that out and be compassionate to themselves, be compassionate to their history, be compassionate to their lineage, be compassionate to their ancestors, right? And forgive and move into an openness to really just do that EFT thing almost of, I just want to be able to hear you out and hold space for what you feel, not what
Mm.
you do and what you say.
Yeah, having difficult dialogues, bringing the implicit up to kind of let's talk about it, let's play with it rather than pretending it's not there. Wow, that's exciting and frightening.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is. Ooh.
I love that you said the word harmony so often because I think that's kind of one of those things that pulls it all together is that there's all these distinct voices that are just their own, but the
Yeah.
but harmony is such a beautiful word and such a beautiful way to think about the way that music is such a good metaphor for relationship and all these things that you've been talking about and how they come together and there must be intuition as well as practice to be. I'm not that good at harmonizing when we're in church because I'm only focused on is my, I'm not that great of a singer, but we get focused on ourselves, right? And harmony is there's listening to the other, there's
God,
intuition of finding how we can blend. I just love that concept.
yes. Yes, you hit the nail right on the head. Right on the head. Listening, pace, rhythm,
Mm.
blend, and not blend to lose yourself because we get so scared these days, with our
Mhm.
identity, not to lose ourselves, but blend to create something bigger and
Mhm.
different because together we can just do more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
with music, so with that harmony, how do you see kind of music being a healing process,
Mhm.
kind of taking people through life transitions? Because you kind of started telling your story of all the life transitions, and at each moment, there were things, your faith kind of took you through that, but also music's been a thread that has been through all of that. So I think Tara and I were really kind of curious of how is music healing? How does it help us navigate life transitions? And kind of from your experience, both lived experience and working with others.
Oh my gosh. Um, so I think my lived experience with music is that for me, it helps set paces. And what I've learned is that even limitations in music, again, it's just data. So I would say around 2021, so I can't remember the exact year. I just completely stopped singing. I did not sing to Seth. I did not sing at church. I barely listened to music. And at the time, I saw that as this really bad thing. I couldn't write songs. From the time Seth was born into maybe a year ago, I couldn't write a song. Um, and I think we would probably think about all the traumatic reasons why that was happening, or I could see it as the wisdom of God allowing a symptom to show up that is pointing me to do something and not feel bad about it.
Mm.
So it's like, I can't write a song. Okay, then I just won't. And I'll be okay with that. I don't have the voice to sing. It's tired.
Mhm.
Um, I cannot fight anymore. I will yield. um, and so I didn't sing for years. And this opportunity came up where a friend from a church was like, "Hey, we don't have anybody this week. Please just come and lead worship." And then I'm like, okay. I mean, like 2 years have gone by. I don't know if I can sing or even play the guitar anymore. So Seth was in this inpatient facility, and we're still trying to figure out when he's coming home. And he was miserable. He just wasn't happy. And as a parent, it's one thing to see your child kind of on the grapples of life and death, but it's another thing to be like, if they die, they're gonna be at this horrible place, not that the people aren't wonderful, and it was a beautiful staff and beautiful place, but I mean, just like this, God, like this environment. I was just begging. I was like, please, God, if anything, can I just you allow me to give him a life that I want to give him?
Mm.
And so he was very almost not present in his body for a while. He kind of like someone with Alzheimer's, where like the Notebook, like to show up sometimes, but I never knew what caused Seth to show up and what caused Seth to kind of retreat to what they would call minimally conscious
Mhm.
um, state. I didn't know, but we would see him show up and kind of retreat, like
Mm.
you would maybe end up with an Alzheimer's patient or someone with dementia.
Mhm.
So he'd been in this state for about 2 years of kind of being more pulled back, not really showing up often. And I didn't know that music wasn't happening. I just knew he was there and I wasn't singing. And we're in the room and he's kind of blank and he's sitting in his chair. And I had to rehearse for this worship that I had to lead. And I put on the music, and the moment I strike the guitar, I just see
I'm
his
already
eyes.
getting goosebumps.
He shows up.
It's just like you would see in the Notebook. His eyes lit up.
Mm.
He smiled. I hadn't seen a smile. I don't know when I'd seen a smile last.
Mm.
Um, and I'm like, okay, maybe that's just a coincidence. So I do it again, and he lights up, and I start playing and singing, and tears start rolling out, just rolling out of his eyes. And he's not sad.
Mm.
He is weeping and smiling.
Mm.
And I'm just practicing worship. And then when I would stop, he would get all uncomfortable and move around. And so I'd say, oh, I'm sorry, baby. And then I would go back into it. And I didn't know that that was going to turn into singing again, leading worship again. I didn't know that was going to turn into working at a record label or writing songs. I didn't know that songwriting would come back. And in that moment, when I found out as a mother that being me was all I ever had to do,
Mm. Mm.
my ability to be a mother is not a pressure. It is a call to be myself.
Mm.
Mhm.
So if you want to sing, if you want to sew, if you want to dance, um, maybe that's a gift for your children too.
Mm.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize that what I was supposed to do in the world was exactly what I could do at home, and what I love heals him.
Mm.
Um, God is that kind.
Yeah.
So that is my story with healing and music
That
personally.
is really beautiful, and it sounds like it was really evident how your music opened up something in Seth. What did it do for your heart in that
Yeah.
moment? Was that a healing moment for you?
I'll say that if I'm honest, in the moment, it was spooky. It was scary. I was wondering what I sing when I was singing. So I started recording these things.
Uh-huh.
Um, and what it did for me is I think it just taught me that I could be myself.
Mhm.
What I desired to do wasn't separate from being a mother. It wasn't separate from being a therapist. Um, just because I'm a little rough around the edges sometimes, um, doesn't mean I'm a bad person.
Mm.
Um, and also, um, nothing's lost, just they come in seasons, they come in time. Um, and you don't lose, you either evolve or it comes back around. God is just faithful. So yeah, I think for me, it was just for me, I really thought I had to be like something that God created apart from what he put in me. Like what God put is placed on my heart is not good. That's what I thought.
Mm.
There's something outside of me that I'm chasing that God wants me to do that he's holding captive in a secret.
Yeah, yeah.
God, what do you want me to do? And he's like, what do you like?
That is so important because
Right.
especially like kids at Wheaton College of like, what's God's will for me? And they get tied up in knots and stay up until like 3 a.m. wrestling with what's God's will. And I think you nailed it in terms of, hey, I've made you with this beautiful voice, this instrument that gives you and others joy. Live into that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also not knowing the end game. I think that's what holds us too sometimes is thinking, well, where is this going? What's this?
What's
What's
the
my
outcome?
grand purpose? What am I supposed to do? What's my passion? And you talked about this earlier too, but just seeing the next step on the path or just this one thing led to the next step, but we don't ultimately need to know or ever really will know the ultimate outcome or purpose of it, of just taking that nudge to just take the next step.
Hebrews 11.
That's right. The Hall of Fame, right? And everybody had a goal, but never really realized it and kind of lived out to that. Tara has to live with that, not knowing every day, dealing with me.
Oh,
Never know what you're going to get. I'm like a
That's
box
right.
of chocolates.
That's right.
I've been a student. Yep.
Yeah,
Surprise.
it just
Yeah.
day by day. It's like, what is that man going to
Yeah.
say?
What's gonna say? And we're gonna laugh and we're gonna learn.
And be
And we're gonna
okay
have a
with.
balance of responsibility and a balance of freedom, all in one.
That's right.
That's right.
The one thing you said earlier, I kind of want to pivot to what's the difference between a therapist and a coach? So you talked about
Oh,
how you're becoming a coach now, and I do know the answer to this, but I want you,
I
I
know you
want you
know.
to highlight what's the difference between a therapist and a coach.
Yeah, I think that what we've learned in our program is that there's been a lot of research and science and study and tussling with tough topics and ideas by really brilliant people who have helped create ethics that make sure that this half medical, half art
Yeah,
space
yeah,
um, is safe. And therapy is amazing because when we are dealing with the medical and the theoretical and the science part, we are using these tools under the safety of ethics, and we don't use those tools when we're not operating under the safety.
mm,
So when I'm not operating under insurance, a supervisor, client's insurance, all these safety checks to make sure my human self is creating a safe space for people because we all are have been guilty of creating a space that wasn't safe unknowingly because we didn't
Mm,
know something
mm.
because we didn't do something and so the beauty of the therapy space and having all this supervision and having courses and classes and theories is to say on a day that Jessica is unwell, on a day that Jessica um would lean into her intuition and it not be the best thing for somebody, there are guides that help us stay safe. And we don't do those things outside of the therapy space.
yeah,
Um, and so for me at a label, we are taking the more coaching approach, which you come into therapy, you have a goal. And we use the theories to help you sort out the steps or create the space for you to get yourself to that goal or to
yeah,
work out that goal. In coaching, it can be similar that we have goals, but we don't use the therapy theories in a coaching space. Um, a coaching space is a space where that person knows Jessica is leaning into Jessica. Jessica
yeah,
is leading into God here. Just and not that we don't integrate those things sometimes into the therapy space, but there are rules to keep that safe. It's about them knowing what they're getting into, and you being aware in coaching. Some of this might be my opinion or my life experience or what I think.
Yeah.
You need to know that it's coming through that lens and really protect yourself and receive it person to person. It's still
Mm.
there's still guidelines, there's still safety, there's still things I don't superimpose on people. Both spaces, the person knows their rights and the person is clear on what we're doing, and they have to say yes before we enter.
Yeah. So there's much more of you kind of mentoring and bringing a little bit more of you in the coaching than the more medical kind of
Modalities and stuff.
modalities
Yeah.
from the therapy side.
Yeah.
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 So can you give a disguised example of what that might look like at your label? Like how does this fit together? How does your systems thinking, your relational thinking, the music industry, how can you think of a story of how you put it together?
Oh my goodness. Oh
No
wow.
no names, right?
Okay.
No names.
Uh, well, I'll tell you a story from my Wheaton College experience that kind of maybe bridges the gap there. But I remember my first time doing therapy under supervision. And you have said before, you're a little bit of a rule breaker. I'm still working through the why. I'm still working through fleshing out um why strict rules or rules that feel strict seem to make me feel a little nervous or off kilter, more of a spontaneous person, more the in the moment person. So I had really learned and memorized like how to be a therapist. And I being a singer and having all this brokenness happening behind the scenes with Seth's health, but still stepping on stage and singing, I learned to perform instead of connect
Mm,
and be present and be real. And so Professor Dr. Yu, I came out the room and she said, well, you said every perfect thing. You did the theory perfectly. But I'm wondering, like, who was that? I know who
Mm.
you are when I talk to you.
yeah.
And that was great, but who was that? Or sometimes I would even write a paper and one of you would say, this is great, but who the heck is that? You know, I was like, perfect, said great, but I'm not, you're not reaching me. Where are you?
Mm.
Mm,
Um, and so for me, I had to realize that there were certain things in the fusion of faith, in the fusion of learning about systems and learning the cause and effects and I think systems thinkers, like, we're also great diagnosers of things. Even when people have, like, other medical conditions, you're like, "Oh, this you become a doctor," because you just really have these brains that track every piece until something makes sense and there's a solution for it.
yeah.
Um, and so with, I guess with faith and music and therapy and working with the label, how that all comes together is maybe there is a space in a hotel room in LA, um, where in a therapy room, I could only keep circling around that theory that I have to stick to be,
Hmm.
ethical. But maybe in that moment, God says something and there's a little intuition that maybe this person does need a prayer. Not that we can't pray in therapy, we just have to be careful of autonomy, but maybe we can be more spontaneous in that hotel room when that artist grew up in the Black church, maybe.
Mm,
And maybe what connects for them is when I lay a hand
mm,
and I declare the word of the Lord, or maybe they're not a believer, and so we're not gonna they're not gonna push there, and maybe it's a hug, or the story that you told me, Dr. Van Dyke, about your dad and these neighbors,
mm.
um, and how he took care of this man, who I believe was dying of AIDS. Was
Yeah,
that the
that's
story?
correct. Yeah.
He didn't Bible bash or anything. He just embraced. And so what Dr. Yu was teaching me was presence and embrace over performance in that marriage and family therapy space. And then when I began to sing again, and Seth had taught me presence over perfection, over singing over and through and singing with instead, and the importance of people singing with me and not just performing and putting on a dance for their ears. And then in the coaching space, um, you can use a little bit more of who you are. And in the therapy space, you don't. You can't.
Yeah.
You should.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, I think that some of those powerful moments, I get more choice and I get to integrate a little bit more and be a little bit more diverse in what I'm choosing to use um in that space. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
That's fantastic description. That was really beautiful.
It's amazing, and I want to make sure that people know they can not just get coached by you, but can hear your music. This is where you kind of plug. You got some new music coming out, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let us share. Why don't you let
Because
people know where they can find you and interact with what you're doing?
Yes. So right now you could go to therapybyjlove.com or on all social media. I am Therapy by J Love. I'm trying a different approach in lieu with Dr. U's word that stuck with me for a very long time and still stuck with me to this day. Um Everything was produced so strictly that I put out. It had to we had to find the best musicians in Chicago, the best camera person. The hair has to be perfect, everything. And now it is more of just a showing up and a creating and being and just whatever comes of it. But we are doing a few things. So there's music coming out. So follow me, Therapy by J Love.
yeah,
Cool things dropping at the end of this summer. We are integrating a lot. I learned to DJ and
Oh, that's
um,
fun.
yes. So right here on the beautiful lakefront, there are certain beaches that will be popping up with this tour called Healing on the Waves. And it's science-based, with the understanding of how different music, how you hear a sad note, it's sad before a word pops up. It's in a different language and it's happy,
Uh-huh.
so bringing all that science to the DJing space, singing and partnering with different businesses across the area of Chicago, and really inclusive spaces. It doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter what race, color, creed. Really act accessible for different abilities, celebrating different abilities. Um, and also some events that we're curating are big choir events across the city where it, again, doesn't matter your religion, background, ability, the power of the voice to heal within your body. And we've all been in places where we want to sing or we want to maybe experience that we weren't good enough for this or that, or people who've been trying to make this choir and this team. And it's a space where we say, every voice is welcome. You don't need experience. Come harness the power of singing in unity.
oh, that's
Um,
where we can sing.
yeah.
That
It
sounds
is.
like our jam. Where there's
That is
so many
great.
people, no one will hear us.
But isn't that the power of unity? And that's why I love the choir, because just like in a family where there's this harmony, the beauty is if you're not singing on key, but there's 10 people around you singing on key, that gets drowned out.
Yeah.
And now we're helping you tune to the whole, even though you
Mhm.
can't sing on key or you don't have rhythm, whatever it is. And so I think that's the power is your brother or sister can be that for you. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I can't sing on tune and I don't have rhythm. So both of those things are
I
true.
don't think that's completely true,
We're
but
gonna surround you with pop singers. I want to
Although
show around.
we did try, right? In integration class, we sang It Is Well
Oh,
with My Soul after every class because it was a hard class.
we needed that. We needed the devotional in the beginning and the it is well after. A lot of my classmates were actually meeting each other for the first time. Like, we'll see each other and they're like, I didn't even know you. I was like, I was so engrossed and so busy. So it's so cool where we're all different versions of ourselves, but we're
Yeah.
also like re-meeting these people that have now like had a year to rest and are like,
Mm.
okay, wow, that was great. It actually wasn't scary.
That's so we have healing on the way. So we're going to go to the beach and DJ. Will you like invite Tara and I up to like
Oh boy.
do the is
We
it
can do a live
scratching?
birth.
Is
We
it
can do a
scratch?
live birth.
Oh, a live birth. That
I know.
sounds
This
horrible.
would be a whole different podcast session, but I love using music in birth and how I really have feelings about how different type of music actually connects with how the birth is moving forward. That's a whole other discussion, but
So what
I
song do
believe
you
in
I
it.
want to know, though.
use?
I want to know.
So it's I believe Salt and Pepper are part of like Push It Real Good right during
Yeah.
the final. That's the final song of
We
the birth
have pulled
process.
that out when we need a laugh
Are you
during
serious?
pushing. I'm not kidding. Anyway, that's a
That
whole
doesn't
other.
even have to laugh. That is so
Yeah.
funny.
Yes, you have to laugh. The healing power of laughter and release, all of that is
Tara
so good.
doesn't let me help curate the music or be part of the birth stuff. So you know,
Really?
it's wise. No, it's wise. You know me.
So what song would you choose?
Oh man. Well,
For transition. Let's do transition. What music would you choose for
so
transition?
it's so personal. I mean, you know that music is so personal to each person. So it has to connect with the person who's in labor. And I have my own playlist that I will bring out if they don't know what music to use, but I think it's got to be positive, it's got to be uplifting. I don't like the music that is just ambient, sort of like spa music, because there's no resolution. It's just the same. You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
it's got to be moving towards something. Sometimes people don't want lyrics because it gets you in your thinking brain, gets you into your head, and we want you to just be connecting with your intuitive self and your right brain. That's honestly, don't get me started because we're
Well,
it'll
yeah.
be a whole other discussion. But
then it's
and
like-
I'd love to have that with you at another time. But
There's also music for baby making.
okay, all right. I think we need to wrap. I think we need to
I'm gonna
wrap
do-
this up.
I'm going to do my Barry White
That's
now.
important. People got to know that that's important. It's all important.
It's all oxytocin, it's all connection, but it's all tied into everything you said about, presence over perfection, over performance. I love that. That seems to me the overarching message of what you have to say is that it's leaning into connection, presence over performing for ourselves, and that it's such a beautiful message. And I can't wait to follow what you're doing and hear more of your music.
So I just this is fun. Another thing, how music was in my life. So we, as baseball players, we'd have walk-up music, and
Yeah.
my walk-up music was Ozzy Osbourne's "Crazy Train."
Wow.
So that's the theme
Oh,
of my life.
Thanks for bringing that
That's-
around.
That's like, I get wrestling. If that was like wrestling, but that's
Yeah, you have to get yourself pumped up.
I was an aggressive baseball player. So, well, we're so thankful that you were willing to spend some time with us, because I think music is, on some level, there's soundtracks to different parts of our lives, and the healing part, and how you're thinking about music and in the healing process, whether it's in the music industry, within the local community in Chicagoland area. It's really beautiful. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, no, thank you for being a part of my life, my journey. Thank you for holding space for me. Thank you for teaching and honoring and just being a part of a collective of people that showed me different parts of who God is and God's heart. Yeah, I just thank you. To this day, stories and things I can say to people and pull from and just darn right stole from my professors.
Yeah, no, it's just citing, not
Yeah.
stealing. You just cite it.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
it's fun to do life together, and
Yes.
I'm glad we
Yes.
got to reconnect a little bit.
I know. Thank you for coming, Jessica.
Yes, you guys are fabulous. Thank you so much.